Fed seems upbeat on the banks, but JMO keeps beating the drums for the war on cash. Do the banks bounce back after COVID, or do they start losing the war? Or something else? I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
Well, I think it's faulty logic to consider those as two separate things. Um, Bank of America, for example, has done a fantastic job of embracing technology and really embracing cashless banking systems. They
Yeah.
were one of the companies that funded the funded Zell's development. If you remember that,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
th-
absolutely.
they consistently get rated the number one or number two mobile and online platforms year after year by the major banking publications. So I wouldn't necessarily say that the banks are going to be losers of the war on cash. Um, but as JMO often puts it, a Square or a PayPal is the real way to play that trend. But I wouldn't necessarily think of banks as losers. They generally the traditional banks that we're talking about and a lot of the war on cash companies generally complement each other. Like your
Yeah.
war on cash basket has Visa and MasterCard, and most of those cards are funded by the banks we're talking about.
Yep, that's a really good point. I'm glad you mentioned it because I was kind of thinking the same thing. Banks really, I think, are just finding their position in that value chain and sort of this new value chain of how money's moving around. And they have obviously very strong networks with a lot of information, a lot of assets. So yeah, I think I'm certainly more I'm more optimistic or more amped up on those war on cash stocks. But yeah, like you said, it's worth remembering Visa and MasterCard are in that basket, and those are basically kind of boring old big bank style names. But what they did, I think that was it was a nice sort of comeback because it sort of felt like they were a little bit asleep at the wheel when it came to technology and fintech and going cashless. They've done a very good job of finding their position in that value chain with things like PayPal and Square, being able to fund accounts using cards, however it may be. I mean, like I have a PayPal account that pays my Spotify bill through my Visa credit card. And an interesting hack, I've told this before on this show, um, but one thing you can do, the more that you can route payments through one channel. So like if you have everything going through one channel in PayPal and and you're paying via credit card through your PayPal account, when that credit card expires and you have to update your information because it's all going through just the PayPal channel, you just update the card in the PayPal channel as opposed to having to update the card with each and every different service provider that you're ringing the payment through. So a friend of mine up in New York gave me that tip, and it's worked out really well. It's pretty clever, actually. So I try to route as much as I can through PayPal, paying with my Visa, because then I immediately turn around and just pay that Visa off, through my checking account anyway.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.